Hello student, welcome to the lecture on hospital management, and after this lecture we will be able to learn the following objectives. Discuss concept of productivity in the context of hospital, explain management of blood banks, describe health management information system HMIS, discuss on financial management of a hospital. The word hospital comes from the Latin "hopes," which refers to either a visitor or the host who received the visit. From hopes came the Latin hospitalia, an apartment for strangers or guests, and the medieval Latin hospital and the Old French hospital. What is the importance of hospital management? The answer to this question is simply that supervisors and managers of hospital must not only have vocational, technical knowledge about hospitals and treatment, but also should have knowledge about contemporary management and its functions and principles. What to be managed in hospital? Like other organization and institution, hospitals or any healthcare facility passes through the following stages, or in other words, they need the management for smooth running of their organization, but the hospitals are very complex in its nature. Operations, actions, finance, money and resources, personal, human relations, information, needed information for wise decision. Let us now discuss the concept of productivity in the context of hospital. As we are discussing regarding the concept of productivity in the context of a hospital, so we must know that every organization, whether it is profitable or non-profitable, governmental or non-governmental, needs and uses different resources. This is classified in many groups: manpower, labor, task force, material, raw material, money, cash, budget, machinery, equipment. As it is obvious and more apparent that most hospital or health facilities have expensive equipment remains out of the order or inventory list because of the insufficiency of the engineering department, improper maintenance, defective service contracts, and so on. Personal matters. Almost all the staff who is working in the engineering department, they are not satisfied from their works due to their small salaries, wage of disparities, and lack of opportunities for development, and so on. It is clear fact that the engineering department is so neglected, so the hospital management should take all these concerns regarding the engineering department. Their problem should be solved in a better way for the betterment of hospital services. Space. Space is also playing a dominant role in the productivity of hospital. As we have seen, some of the hospitals have so small space while other has a plenty of space. For the better planning of hospital, we need a coordinated thinking of medical specialists, engineers and architects specializing in the hospital field. Funds. In most hospital and health facilities, the financial and costing systems are usually weak. The particular income or surpluses and the expenses of various departments are not separately analyzed, nor the different costs fixed. As a result, the related medical and other staff has no idea and concept of the financial management and its implication of the resources at their disposal, or the relationship between cost and the fees for various resources. Material. It is clear fact that the good material management can be used to diminish operating costs for the time it is somehow being neglected in hospitals and other facilities, so it is most important to take consideration the vitality of the material management in order to achieve the goals and objectives of the hospital. The following factors have a big role in the effectiveness of material. The items which are needed urgently should be provided. Use the money in such a way that the cost of storage is reduced to a minimum. Handle the items and equipments with the least loss in storage and management. Personal. As it is a clear fact, and we mean it is obvious to all of us, that hospital totally and almost always on human resources or manpower. The numbers of human resources are usually higher than in other organizations. So in a result, the quality of the services in hospital is totally dependent on the quality of the human resources and manpower. Pathology services. In general, the pathology services are the cornerstone of the medical field, and it is playing a great role in diagnosis of different pathologies and diseases. Some key issues to be addressed. Load of work. The load of work increase on pathological laboratories is increased. Every patient should go prior to his treatment to medical or pathological laboratories. So by this, the laboratories are overloaded. This overload is more in those laboratories who are attached to hospital or in hospital territory, and in contrast, there is a less load on those laboratories which are outside the hospital or private laboratories. Trained or skilled staff. Hospitals need trained and skilled technologists and staff, as it is obvious that many hospitals have no professional technologists because they are not paid satisfactorily. Waste control. The wastage management is the crucial step in the hospitals, and it is so important that the staff should be aware of the cost of wastages. Optimum utilization. Many of the hospitals have small number of technicians, and these technicians are busy in other clerical works, so this is the big problem in the hospital. So it is important for the hospital to train extra staff for the administrative and clerical works in order to improve the quality of the work in laboratories. Maximum utilization of lab service. Some of the steps for the development of the laboratory services are making links with small hospitals and nursing. It is impossible for the patient to wait for long hours to get the result of their lab exam. It is also possible that technicians go to the home of the patient and to collect the sample from the patient, and after the lab exam, the results should be given back to the patient. So by this way, patients can charge for the services. Relation with general practitioners who can collect the sample from the patient, and then these samples are checked in the laboratory. After examining it is given back to the patient. It is good to have a 24-hour service instead of having fixed time collection of sample, because in 24-hour service program take and give the result and reports quickly. So in this way, there will be no delay in treatment of the patient. Radiology services. As it is obvious to all of us, by moving this world forward and advance in technology and physics, so the radiology also moved with this advancement, and the advancement of the radiology services also need more capital or financial investment. Key managerial points are equipment breakdown. The breakdown and even the collapse of the equipments and other instruments are common in all hospitals. So the collapse paved the way for the idling of instruments. So in the result, the tests are not doing properly, and the income will also decrease, and hence at the end, the results of the patient test is also delayed. Location or place. In many hospitals, the radiology departments are situated in a very important place because the patient cannot move with films in the front of the departments and work. So for that, the radiology departments are located from the beginning in a very strategic place. Storage or warehouse. As usually, the X-ray films are stored in racks with separators according to case or patient numbers. The appropriate storage of the X-rays paves the way for recovery. In many hospitals and health facilities, the storage system is not appropriate, and also unnecessary storing take place. Lack of skilled technicians. There is lack of professional technicians, so it is crucial that the technicians must be trained. Some of the technicians have got on-the-job training. In many hospitals, they have few programs for training, so they are limited to main areas. So it is so important to expand the training programs. Allocation of work. In many hospitals, it is a big problem that the trained staff is engaged in extracurricular works like some clerical works, such as washing films and preparing reports and making registration. So it is the misusage of the skill, and it is so harmful for the organization. Wastage. In many hospitals, there is no proper mechanism for the waste management. All the expenses should be used in a proper manner, and we must not lose it because it will eat the profit which is made by the hospital.
I think the most common misconception is that a radiologist is someone who either takes images, which isn't true, or only interprets images. But rather, a radiologist interprets but also treats many disease processes. And some of those examples would be with a stroke, for instance. We can see that patient from the very beginning when they first get their imaging study, which would be a CAT scan, find out that they have a stroke, find out where that stroke is, and then take them to an interventional suite, perform an angiogram, and actually take a catheter with medicine to break up that clot that's causing the stroke. So There are a lot of times where we see a patient from start to finish, the start of their imaging that diagnoses that problem, and then actually being able to walk that all the way through to where we're treating whatever that problem is. Other areas that you might encounter in interventional radiology for neuro procedures would be tumor workup. Occasionally they need to look at different tumors in the brain, how they may be enhancing with contrast, their relationship to other structures that might be useful for them in surgery, and also the chance that you might be able to potentially embolize or decrease the blood supply to a certain tumor prior to surgery. As far as spine intervention, we do a lot of disc and bone biopsies. We do a lot of intervention for pain, and that can be anything to disc-related pain to facet or more joint-type related pain in the back. There's a lot of fractures that occur in the spine, and we treat those as well. Sort of another head and neck or a neurotype intervention would be nosebleeds, or what we call epistaxis cases, nosebleeds that just won't stop despite conservative treatment that an ENT might try to provide. In those cases, we can take a catheter into the facial region and embolize the arteries that are feeding that particular portion of the face, which is typically the nose region, facial artery or internal maxillary artery that is causing an uncontrollable nosebleed. There are a variety of ways to look inside of the body using different modalities in radiology. The ones that most people would be familiar with would be X-ray, CAT scan, or what we call computed tomography. Magnetic resonance imaging, or MRI, is another one that a lot of people would be familiar with. Maybe some of the less familiar areas would be nuclear medicine, or using some type of a radioisotope to image a particular area or organ of the body. Interventional radiology, as we discussed, and different real-time X-ray procedures that we do that we refer to as fluoroscopy type procedures, where we can watch something in real time if we need to guide something or watch something real time be done. So one of the most satisfying things of being an interventional radiologist is the ability to be able to see patients from the day that they're born and then throughout their entire life, regardless of what ailment they may have, what problem they may have. They're typically going to be seen somehow in radiology, and again, we have all those tools and means to diagnose and treat patients.
Let's talk about management of blood banks. Blood is a part of life that is given to those who need it by those who have the resources to satisfy the need. For each patient requiring blood, it is an emergency, and the patient could have setback if blood is not available. The main tasks of blood banks are collection of blood, storage of blood, supply of blood to the hospitals and other health facilities. Some critical issues in blood banks. The critical issues in blood banks are insufficient provision of blood. The blood bank is facing many problems. One of the most important one is the lack of donor and volunteers. So this deficit is due to some misconceptions and lack of education among the local people to educate the people and to wash the brain of the people. So the public information campaign is so vital because the media is the blood of the war. The volunteers and especially the youth should encourage to donate blood. Blood testing. It is so important for the blood banks to test the blood so carefully because it is the matter of life and death to the recipient of blood, example jaundice, typhoid, malaria and even the AIDS. Staffing and workload. The blood banks which are attached to the hospital, they are usually using the trained staff of other hospitals. When the load is less, so they are going back to their own duties. Internal blood banks versus external blood banks. The advantages of the external blood banks are no capital investment, no staffing and management problems. The disadvantages are as follows. Blood is not quickly available when it is needed. Patient can replace the blood immediately when he wants. Let's start with Health Management Information System, HIMS. The healthcare industry is continuously evolving and becoming more technologically advanced. The major provides a solid foundation of knowledge about management in the healthcare industry and specifically the management of information system within the healthcare field. Computers can help in this regard to improve the management information system. Advantages of computers: it provides less staff to operate and manage, decrease the paperwork, enhance the accuracy. It is easy to track, compile and get back the entered information. It can store large of data and information. Possibility of computer usage in hospital. Prior to introduce the computers to the hospital, the possibility studies should be done to find out the requirements for computerization, requirement of software and hardware and cost, degree of computerization compulsory. Some of the problems in computerization. The following are the problems which are facing during computerization. The staff may fright from economizing due to computerization, fear about new technology, finance, salary, profit, benefits and hazards. Phasing. It will not just diminish the strain on the finance department, but it will help the staff to use the new technology and new computerized system. Training. Whenever the office is going to be equipped by new technology, so it's necessary that the relevant staff should be trained because the staff are not familiar with the new technology. So it is the responsibility of the Information and Technology Department to undertake the training on computerization. Finance. Computerization is so important for the finance department because the finance department is always engaged with sorting, analyzing and compiling the expenses and budget issues. So it is always recommended by the information and technology consultant. The finance department should also be computerized. Let's start with financial management of a hospital. The financial management is so compulsory for the hospital and healthcare organization because the hospitals are growing day by day and they are becoming capital intensive, which requires a lot of investment by means of equipment, purchasement and operating expenses. Some of the best techniques in financing are as follows. Budgeting. The process of translating planning and programming decision into specific projected financial plans for relatively short periods of time. Cost accounting and cost control. Cost accounting is actually the process of tracking, recording and analyzing costs associated with products or activities of an organization where cost is defined as required time or resources. It is essential that control must be exercised at all levels and departments of the hospital. Prices, fees, charges. It is important that an appropriate amount of fee for various services be charged. The fees should be based on costs and competitors' fees. Funds. Sources of funds are public or governmental hospitals are financed by government fund and grants, which is financed by income tax and custom duties. Trust or charity hospitals or health facilities depends on the benevolent and charitable people of the society or community. They mainly deliver free of charge services. Privately owned hospital or health facilities are proprietary in nature or partnership types which are mostly managed by medical professionals. Fundraising. Fees charged. It is necessary that independence should be given to the governmental hospital or health facilities and they should be confident to enhance the financial resources. It is not fair that all services should be rendered free. Institutional contracts. One of the good ways for the enhancement of income is to contract with other organizations for providing medical services to the employees or staff. How to launch a fundraising campaign. To do this, we have different techniques and methods. Face-to-face solicitation. It means that we have conducted a face-to-face meeting with prospective or tentative donor or philanthropic personalities of the community. Direct mail. Describing and briefing the subject through leaflet, a brochure and pamphlets by mail. Legacies and bequest. Encouraging donor or stakeholders to run of legacies. Special events or procedures. Organizing special meetings, events to invite a donor and philanthropic people of the community to donate and by this way to raise the fund. Payroll deduction. It is a kind of in-house fundraising method. In this method, some amount of money is deducting directly from the salaries of the middle and upper rank officers. Investing funds. The funds which is not being utilized yet should be invested and the interest earned should be utilized or used for hospital operation. So in this way, we will move swiftly to render good medical services. Loans. This is also a good method for fundraising. To take some amount of loan from bank in order to run the daily operation of the hospital or nursing home, but the hospital should return the interest and benefits to the bank on time. Computerization. Computerization of the financial record is very crucial because we can sort, track and compiled all the financial matter in a due time with more feasibility and easy way. Finance personnel. Large hospital must have a finance manager to control and audit all the financial issues, and it will help the hospital in financial management. While in small hospital, the administrator can run the finance section also, or they must be trained in finance. Human resource management system in hospital. The HRM is the business of people, and also HRM refers to activities by which an organization recruits, selects, trains, develops, motivates, evaluates, compensates and rewards people fairly. Manpower planning. Manpower management is choosing the proper type of people as and when required. Advantages of manpower planning. Manpower planning ensures optimum use of available human resources. These are, it is useful both for medical organization and for others. It generates facilities to educate people in the organization. It brings about fast economic developments, recruitment and selection. Recruitment and selection is the important stage in HRM. Actually, the selection processes, if used inappropriately, may have the potential to discriminate against certain groups. Job and organization design. As it is clear from the definition of job design, the job design is a specification of the contents, methods and relations of the job to satisfy technological and organizational requirements as well as the personal needs of the job holder. Employee communication. Effective communication have much more effect on the human and organizational health, because if we have a proper channel and code of communication, so it is not easy that we have faced any problems. The problems and obstacle is preventing by the virtue of effective communication. Effective communication is the blood of any organization. Cut practice in medical field. So how it can be discouraged and curtailed. As it is obvious to every doctor that all doctors qualified to practice modern medicine take the classical Hippocratic oath before beginning their professional career. The idealistic values learned during the period of training get shaken up when the doctor steps out from a world of practice of medicine to one of medical practice. Basis for charging fees. Every doctor determines his or her professional fees on the basis of experience, wisdom and self-perception of the level of skills required for a particular treatment. Various specialized procedures such as endoscopy, angiography, angioplasty form lucrative sources of income and are therefore frequently advised even when the stated indications are not scientifically valid. School health services. School health services foster the growth, development and educational achievement of students by promoting their health and well-being. Causes of overcrowding in hospitals and its management. What are the primary causes of hospital overcrowding? The primary cause is a mismatch between the supply of beds, poor flow of patients through beds and demand. We can discuss in short the main causes of overcrowding, and basically it is divided in two parts. IPD or ward, the admission of those patients who needs its treatment in OPD. Some of the patients escaping from work, so they are insisting on unnecessary admission. Delay in the treatment of the patient due to insufficient resources of the hospital. OPD, outpatient department. Hospital management should always be in strives to facilitate the patient in putting proper direction signs in corridors or lawns. Irregularities in the attendance of doctors or nurses and other medical staff. Absence and poor functioning of inquiry services. Reduce hospital demand. Diversion or substitution. The major focus of this strategy has been to divert patients to community services and provide more services in the community that traditionally occur in hospital. Example, hospital outreach programs, hospital in the home and improved after-hours general practice services. Reducing expectation. Reducing community expectation of what a public hospital system can provide. Optimize hospital bed capacity. Balancing elective and emergency workload. Contrary to popular opinion, the emergency workload is highly predictable across metropolitan areas. Better discharge. Moving patients quickly from acute hospitals to more appropriate facilities increases hospital bed availability. Doctor-patient contact. The contact or relationship between the doctor and patient should be so transparent, and this relationship and contact is so important in order to satisfy the patient. Points for the satisfaction of patient. Enough time should be given to the patient to define his illness, and doctor should take the full history from the patient. The doctor should give full information regarding the patient's illness or disease. Now, in the end, let us summarize what we have learned in this lecture. The effective usage of input will ultimately increase or affect the output or productivity. In most hospital and health facilities, the financial and costing system are usually weak. One of the good ways for the enhancement of income is to contract with other organizations for providing medical services to the employees or staff. Every doctor determines his or her professional fees on the basis of experience, wisdoms and self-perceptions of the level of skills required for a particular treatment. The contact or relationship between the doctor and patient should be so transparent, and this relationship and contact so important in order to satisfy the patient.